So by having Angel Reese on the cover is like basically saying, again, that's the Caitlin Clark effect. All of those names you mentioned a year ago, I believe most of the general populace would not know who they are.
This expansion, they're drunk on Caitlin Clark. Kunta Kinte has them drunk and thinking, hey, we can now expand. And I think the rosters are 12. Caitlin Clark is the slave that's building the WNBA, and all these black women are climbing all over top of her and piggybacking her to relevance and money. She's Kunta Kinte.
Imagine going from NCAA champion to WNBA outcast in less than a year. That's exactly what happened to Angel Reese. The Chicago Sky just fired her, and you won't believe the reason why. Steroids. Yeah, you heard that right. The same Angel Reese who was dominating college basketball is now out of the WNBA because of steroid use. It's crazy how fast things can change, right? Nah, 1 minute you're on top of the world, cutting down nets and dreaming of WNBA stardom. The next, you're packing your bags and watching your career crumble. And you know what makes this even crazier? While Reese is dealing with this mess, Caitlin Clark is lighting up the league like a superstar. Get ready for a wild ride as we break down Angel Reese's shocking fall from grace. From trash talk to tragedy, this story has it all. You'll see how quickly things went south for the former NCAA champ and why the entire WNBA is still in shock.
What is Angel Reese doing on the 50 most influential people in sports figures? Are you kidding me? A woman that rebounds and shows up half naked to games?
If you're going to put a black female from that league on that real estate, shouldn't it be Asia, not Angel Reese? Couple of things. I will say that about that cover with Miss Reese. It's an upgrade from some of the recent swimsuit edition cover models. I will give them that.
The fall from grace didn't happen overnight. Remember when Angel Reese entered the WNBA as the next big thing? Well, her rookie season was anything but stellar. How did things go so wrong so fast? Angel Reese burst onto the WNBA scene with the Chicago Sky, selected as the 7th pick in the 2024 draft. Everyone had high hopes for this college superstar, but sometimes expectations and reality don't quite match up. Let's talk about Reese's rookie season. It wasn't just disappointing, it was a full-on disaster. The Chicago Sky finished with a 13-27 record. That's their worst performance since they first joined the WNBA. Ouch! You know what's even crazier? While Reese was struggling, Caitlin Clark was lighting up the league. It was like watching two completely different stories unfold. Clark was breaking records left and right, while Reese couldn't seem to find her footing. Imagine being Angel Reese in that moment. You're used to dominating on the court, but suddenly, nothing's working. Your team's losing, your stats are underwhelming, and your biggest rival from college is stealing all the headlines. That's gotta be tough on anyone, especially a rookie with so much pressure. But here's where things really start to get interesting. Reese wasn't just having a hard time on the court, she was stirring up drama off it too. When the Chicago Sky fired head coach Teresa Weatherspoon, Reese didn't keep quiet. She went on social media and called out the decision. Reese posted that she was heartbroken about Weatherspoon's firing. She even said Weatherspoon believed in her during a crucial time in her career. Now you might think, what's the big deal? She's just supporting her coach. But in the WNBA, like any pro league, publicly criticizing team decisions is a quick way to get on management's bad side. This wasn't just about basketball anymore. Reese was showing she wasn't afraid to speak her mind, even if it meant going against her team. It's like she was setting herself up as the WNBA's new bad girl. But without the performance to back it up, that reputation was becoming more of a liability than an asset. Think about it. You've got a rookie who's underperforming, a team that's losing games left and right, and now this same rookie is calling out management decisions on social media. It's a recipe for disaster, right? And all of this was happening while Caitlin Clark was becoming the new face of the WNBA.
WNBA Player of the Week. There have only been 40 triple-doubles in the history of the WNBA. Cheryl Swoops recorded the first WNBA triple-double during the 1999 season, while Caitlin Clark logged the most recent triple-double earlier this week. She now has 102 on the season and is 19 away from Diana Taurasi in second place and 26 away from UNESCO of the New York Liberty. She ain't beating Asia Wilson for the MVP, but she's beating Angel Reese for the Rookie of the Year. That's a wrap. That's over. And props to Angel Reese, who's had a good year, by the way.
The contrast couldn't have been more stark. Clark was winning games, setting records, and getting all the positive attention. Reese, on the other hand, was struggling on the court and stirring up controversy off it. You've got to wonder what was going through Reese's mind during all this. Was she feeling the pressure? Was she trying to compensate for her on-court struggles by being outspoken off the court? Or was there something else going on behind the scenes that we didn't know about yet? Remember when trash talk was just part of the game? For Angel Reese, it became a double-edged sword that cut deeper than anyone expected. As her rookie season with the Chicago Sky unfolded, Reese's infamous trash-talking persona started to overshadow her on-court performance. It wasn't just about basketball anymore. It was turning into a full-blown spectacle. You know how some players can back up their trash talk with killer plays? Well, Reese was struggling to do that. Her performance was dipping, and suddenly all that bravado was looking more like hot air. It's like she was trying to compensate for her on-court struggles by ramping up the drama off it. But here's where things really went off the rails. During a heated game against the Indiana Fever, Reese got into a nasty confrontation with a white player. Now, trash talk is one thing, but this blew up into accusations of racism. Can you imagine? One minute you're playing ball, the next you're at the center of a racial controversy. That's not the kind of attention any player wants, especially not a rookie trying to make her mark. This wasn't just bad for Reese, it was causing major headaches for the entire Chicago Sky organization. Think about it. You've got a high-profile rookie stirring up drama, underperforming on the court, and now there's racial tension in the mix. It's like a perfect storm of controversy. And you know what makes it even crazier? While all this was going down with Reese, the Sky's team chemistry was taking a nosedive. Players were frustrated, fans were confused, and the media was having a field day. It's like everything that could go wrong for Reese and the Sky was going wrong. But here's the kicker. It turns out there was more to this story than just Reese's behavior. The Chicago Sky had some serious culture issues brewing behind the scenes. Head coach Teresa Weatherspoon was apparently playing favorites, tailoring the game plan to benefit a few players, including Reese. Now, imagine being on that team and seeing the coach bend over backwards for the trash-talking rookie who's not even performing well. Talk about a recipe for dysfunction. As the season went on, Reese's reputation in the league took a serious hit. It wasn't just about her trash talk anymore. People were starting to notice her dirty plays too. The media couldn't get enough of it. Every game, every interaction became a potential headline. Reese went from being known as a promising rookie to being labeled as the WNBA's problem child. And let's not forget, all of this was happening while Caitlin Clark was lighting up the league like a superstar. The contrast couldn't have been more stark. Clark was breaking records and winning games, while Reese was, well, breaking rules and losing respect. You've got to wonder what was going through Reese's mind during all this. Was she feeling the pressure to live up to her college reputation? Was the trash talk a way to mask her insecurities about her performance? Or was there something else going on that we didn't know about? As Reese's stats declined, the criticism only got louder. Fans and media alike were questioning whether she could cut it in the WNBA. It's one thing to talk trash when you're dominating, but when you're struggling, that's a whole different ballgame. Just when you thought Reese's situation couldn't get any worse, it did, big time. What happened next wasn't just a career setback, it was a full-blown scandal that would change how we look at the league forever. Are you ready for this? Angel Reese's world was crumbling around her. Her performance on the court was tanking, and Caitlin Clark was stealing all the headlines. Reese was averaging a measly 12.6 points per game, while Clark was lighting it up with 27.8 points per game. Talk about a difference. You know how they say desperate times call for desperate measures? Well, Reese took that to a whole new level. As her stats kept declining and the criticism got louder, she made a decision that would change everything. Steroids. Yeah, you heard that right. The former college superstar turned to performance-enhancing drugs in a last-ditch effort to save her career. But here's the thing about secrets in professional sports. They don't stay secret for long. Before Reese knew it, the steroid allegations were out in the open. Can you imagine the shock that rippled through the WNBA? This wasn't just about one player anymore, it was a scandal that threatened to tarnish the entire league's reputation. The Chicago Sky didn't waste any time. They fired Reese faster than you can say performance-enhancing drugs. It was a bombshell that shook the WNBA to its core. The team's management didn't mince words either. They straight up said Reese's steroid use was a big reason why they missed the playoffs. Talk about throwing someone under the bus. But let's be real for a second. This wasn't just about steroids. The Sky's decision to fire Reese was like pulling back the curtain on some serious issues within the team. We're talking culture problems, rookie pressures, the whole 9 yards. It's like Reese's steroid use was the match that lit a powder keg of problems that had been building up all season. And you know what's really wild? While all this drama was unfolding with Reese, Caitlin Clark was becoming the new face of the WNBA. It was like watching 2 completely different movies play out at the same time. Clark was breaking records and winning games, while Reese was, well, breaking rules and losing everything. The contrast between Reese and Clark couldn't have been more stark. One minute they were rivals in college basketball. The next they were on completely different paths in the pros. Clark was living the dream, while Reese's career was turning into a cautionary tale. This whole mess with Reese raised some big questions for the WNBA. How do you balance the pressure to perform with maintaining integrity? What kind of support do rookies need to succeed in such a high-stakes environment? And how do you make sure something like this doesn't happen again? Reese's story went from being about potential stardom to being a warning about the dangers of taking shortcuts in pro sports. It's crazy how fast things can change, right? One bad decision, and suddenly you're not just out of a job, you're the center of a league-wide scandal. The fallout from Reese's firing wasn't just about her, though. It got people talking about all sorts of issues in the WNBA. Integrity, player development, team culture, you name it. It was suddenly under the microscope. It's like Reese's scandal opened up a whole can of worms that the league now had to deal with. Angel Reese's dramatic WNBA exit left the entire league in shock. From NCAA champ to WNBA outcast, her story is a wild ride of ups and downs. The steroid scandal didn't just end Reese's career, it rocked the whole WNBA. Now everyone's talking about integrity in the league. How do you keep things clean when the pressure to perform is so intense? And what about young players like Reese? How do you help them succeed without crossing the line? It's crazy how fast things can change in pro sports. One minute you're on top, the next you're out of the league. Reese's story is like a wake-up call for everyone. It shows just how thin that line between success and failure really is, and it makes you wonder, who's next to fall?